Y'all, stop whatever you are doing right now, because Cardi B just did the one thing I have been warning y'all about for a year straight. And this time there is no coming back from it. The Bronx superstar is officially at war with Bia. The rant was one of the wildest things I have ever heard come out of a millionaire's mouth. And baby, I am telling you right now, mark my words, screenshot this video, do whatever you need to do. She is about to have a whole new problem. And that problem's name is Doja Cat. Yes, Doja Cat. The one woman who did absolutely nothing but press play on a song. And when I tell you the way this all unfolded is the messiest, most revealing, most embarrassing chain of events we have seen in female rap all year, I am not exaggerating even a little bit. Welcome back to the channel. You already know how we do it over here. If you are new, go ahead and hit that like button, hype the video up in the comments, and lock in. Because by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why everybody is whispering that Cardi B just exposed way more about herself than she ever exposed about Bia. Now, before y'all run to the comments and start typing in all caps, before the fan pages assemble and start sending me paragraphs, let me ask you to do one thing for me. Just one. Hear the full timeline first. Do not defend nobody yet. Then you have Bia, the Boston rapper who has been trading shots with her for the better part of a year, and who, up until this week, had been relatively quiet. And then you have Doja Cat, who was not in this beef at all, who was literally minding her business on a live stream, playing music for her fans, living her life. Three women, three completely different energies, and by the end of this story, each one of them is going to show you exactly who they are without even realizing it. And I need y'all to pay attention to that part, because this video is not really about a diss song. It is not even really about the rant, as crazy as the rant was. This video is about what happens when three women with three totally different levels of emotional discipline get put in the same room by the internet, and one of them decides to burn the room down. So let's start where it all started, which is not with the headliner at all. It started with Doja Cat, a live stream, and one little song. So picture it. She is on stream, just vibing with her fans, playing tracks, doing what artists do when they are comfortable with their audience. And at some point, Doja Cat plays a record produced by Fred again, and on that record, Bia is rapping. That is it. That is the whole crime. She heard a song, thought the song was fire, said on the stream that the verse sounded nasty on it, and kept it moving. Now, in the sane world, that is a non-event. Artists play other artists' music all the time. But of course, the comments immediately flooded in, because the internet cannot let anything just be normal. People started telling her, "Why are you playing Bia? Don't you know she shaded you before? Why would you give her that look?" And this is where the story takes its first turn, because the way Doja Cat responded to that question is the entire thesis of this video. Hold that thought for 1 second, because before I tell you what she said, I need you to understand what was riding on her answer. See, if Doja Cat gets mad, if she says, "You know what? You're right. Let me never play that record again," then the internet gets a whole new beef to feed on for 6 months. If she ignores the comments, the internet says she is scared. Either way, the blogs win. She was standing at a fork in the road. And what she chose to do next is something the Bodak Yellow hitmaker should be taking notes on with a pen, a pad, and a tutor, because Doja Cat did something that her more famous peer has seemingly never been able to do in her entire career. She acted like a grown woman. And wait until you hear the exact words, because the exact words are what is going to matter later in this story when everything explodes. So what did Doja Cat actually say when her own comment section tried to drag her into somebody else's mess? She looked dead into that camera and told her chat that she is not in high school anymore. She said she is a 30-year-old woman with a life, with responsibilities, with things that she actually does with her day, and that she does not have the superpower of carrying petty drama on top of everything else she is carrying. Read that back. Doja Cat did not attack Bia. She did not even defend her. She simply declined to participate. She said people were telling her that the Boston rapper had shaded her in the past, and her response was basically, "So what? Grow up. I have a life." And y'all, I need you to sit with how powerful that is for a second, because in an industry where every woman is expected to pick a side, pick a fight, and pick a camera to cry on, Doja Cat picked peace. On a public stream, in front of thousands of people, with zero fear of how it would look. But she did not stop there, and this is the part that had me rewinding the clip. When the chat kept pushing, when they kept asking her why she would ever listen to that woman's music knowing there was history, she said she would listen to whoever she wants to listen to, because she is a grown woman and nobody's opinion of her is going to shake what she knows about herself. And then she dropped the realest line of this entire saga. Doja Cat said that when people say things about her, she is fat, she is ugly, she is stupid, whatever it is, she does not take any of it personally, because she does not believe it, because she knows exactly who she is. She said it would only hurt if she hated herself and agreed with them. Y'all, that is not a clapback. That is a whole therapy session in one paragraph. That is emotional maturity with a beat playing behind it. She basically told the entire internet that insults only land on people who secretly believe them, and she does not believe a single word anybody says about her. And with that, she played the song again, complimented Bia's voice, said hearing that voice does not make her shudder at night, and moved on with her evening like a woman who has never lost a wink of sleep over a stranger's opinion. Now, you would think that would be the end of it. She shows grace, the stream ends, everybody goes home. But no, because the internet did what the internet does, and the clip of her playing that record started traveling. And once that clip started traveling, it landed in front of the one person who could turn a moment of peace into a week of war. But before we get to her, we have to talk about what Bia did next, because her response to Doja Cat is what lit the fuse, and she knew exactly what she was doing when she lit it. So Bia sees what was said on that stream. And to her credit, she came with nothing but gratitude and humility. She publicly thanked Doja Cat for playing her music, said she genuinely apologizes for anything she ever said that came off shady toward her, said she has always liked the woman's music too, and wished her nothing but peace, love, and blessings. Now, whatever you think about Bia and her role in all of this, you have to admit that response was clean. That was a woman accepting an olive branch and handing one right back. No shots, no subliminals, no drama. The two of them squashed years of tension in 2 public posts, and for about 5 minutes, it looked like we were going to get a story about women in rap actually behaving like allies. And then the fans showed up. Because it is never the artists who start these fires first, is it? It is always the foot soldiers. Here's where it gets crazy. People in the comments, and let me be specific, because the original breakdown called this out, and I have seen it with my own eyes 100 times. The energy almost always starts from one particular fan base, started posting the video of Bia's old diss track aimed at Cardi B. And they did not post it to celebrate it. They posted it under that peaceful exchange with Doja Cat, and asked her, point blank, so can we talk about this diss, and how awful it is? Think about the setup there. The Boston rapper is having a genuinely positive moment, and a swarm of accounts drags the nastiest chapter of her feud right into the middle of it, demanding that she answer for it. And Bia, who had clearly been waiting for somebody to bring it up, who had clearly been sitting on her response like a loaded weapon, did not back down, did not apologize, did not clarify. She typed a handful of words that sent the whole internet into a tailspin. She said, okay then, talk about how it was all true. All true. Let that marinate. She did not say the diss was just entertainment. She did not say it was just rap sport. Bia doubled down and said every single bar was factual. And for those of y'all who need the refresher, because I cannot play the record here for obvious reasons, let me tell you what that diss claimed. Her record said Cardi B cannot rap and cannot stay on beat. It said she does not write her own music and basically dared her to go toe-to-toe with the pen instead. It took shots at her marriage and suggested she did not take her vows seriously. It accused her of stepping out on her ex. And it threw in some seriously disrespectful claims about how she got put on in the industry. That is what Bia just stamped as all true in a public comment for the whole world to screenshot. And y'all, the second that comment hit the timeline, we all knew what time it was. Because if there is one thing we know about Cardi B, it is that she sees everything. Every post, every comment, every whisper in every corner of the internet. Which raises a question I want you to hold on to, because we are going to come back to it at the very end of this video. How does a woman with 4 children, a tour, an album rollout, and a business empire have the time to see one comment under somebody else's post within hours of it being written? Keep that question in your pocket. We are coming back to it. And sure enough, Cardi B saw it. Of course she saw it. And instead of doing what Doja Cat did, instead of letting one comment from one rapper roll off her back like water, she chose violence. Cardi B opened up a space and delivered a rant so long, so detailed, and so personal that by the time it was over, the conversation was not even about the comment anymore. The conversation became about everything she accidentally revealed while trying to destroy her rival. And baby, we are about to walk through every piece of it, because this rant had layers, and every layer told on somebody, mostly on Cardi B herself. The first layer of the rant was the origin story, and this is where she made her first strategic mistake. She told everybody listening that Bia used to desperately want to be her friend. Cardi B claimed the woman kept sending people to tell her, "Tell Cardi, I do not have a problem with her. Tell Cardi this, tell Cardi that." She said messages were sent through her friends, through mutual contacts, through anybody with a pulse, all delivering the message that Bia wanted peace. She even said she has recordings, that she talked to the woman on the phone herself, and that she has receipts on the whole friendship campaign. Now, on the surface, She clearly thought this made Bia look desperate and obsessed. But hold on, because the original breakdown made a point here that I cannot improve on. If she called you and you never wanted to speak to her, why did you answer the phone? If you cannot stand her, if you never wanted to be her friend, why was there a conversation long enough to be recorded? You see what happened there? In trying to paint her rival as a clout-chasing fan, Cardi B confirmed that she personally got on the phone with a woman she now calls a nobody. That is not the flex she thinks it is. That is plot hole number one. The second layer of the rant was the copying accusation, and this is where she started telling on her own insecurities. According to Cardi B, the beef actually started because Bia believed she had been copied on a record that sampled an iconic Missy Elliott track. The defense was that the record had been in the works long before, that the timeline was proven, and that the two of them actually had a grown woman conversation about it, and squashed it. Cardi B even made a fair point, honestly, that sharing a sample does not equal copying, that she and Coi Leray have the same sample on records and nobody is at war over it. And if the story ended there, she would look reasonable. But the story did not end there, because according to her, after they settled the song issue like adults, Bia went right back online months later and accused her of copying a whole music video too. And this is where all composure left the building. She said, and I am paraphrasing for broadcast, who would ever want to copy that woman? Who would ever want to look like her? She has nothing worth taking, not the style, not the look, not the career, nothing. She said the only women she has ever been inspired by are Beyoncé and Rihanna, and that her rival could never. Now let me ask y'all something. If someone is truly beneath you, if someone is truly irrelevant, if someone has nothing you want, why are you on a live stream listing everything they do not have? Rich people who are unbothered do not hold press conferences about how unbothered they are. Cardi B spent minutes of her life explaining to thousands of listeners that Bia does not inspire her. And all that explanation did was prove how much space the woman is renting in her head. And then came the third layer. And y'all, this is where the rant went from petty to genuinely dark. Cardi B claimed that months after the copying drama, Bia went behind the scenes and told people in the industry, including a producer who runs in her ex-husband's circle, that the marriage had been cheated on. She said the rumor was carried to multiple rappers. She said she challenged everybody to find one text, one DM, one date, one shred of proof, and that there is nothing because the entire thing was made up. And she said this all went down while she was pregnant, while she was vulnerable, while she was already dealing with the collapse of her marriage. Now, I want to be careful and fair here, because if that is true, if somebody was genuinely fabricating infidelity rumors about a pregnant woman behind closed doors, that is foul, full stop. But here's the thing. Telling this story on a public rant does not clear her name. Telling this story introduces the rumor to millions of people who had never heard it before. That is the paradox Cardi B never seems to learn. Every time she grabs a microphone to deny something, the something gets bigger. There is an old saying that fits perfectly here, a hit dog will holler. And the question everybody is asking after this rant is simple. Why is she always the one hollering? But wait, because she was not done. Not even close. The fourth layer of the rant is the one that made my jaw hit the floor, because Cardi B started talking about the streets. She told Bia that she is not a street person, that she is from Boston, and not just Boston, but the good part of Boston, and that she does not know how things work in the Bronx. Cardi B name-checked a whole Bronx set, and said those guys would deal with her rival on her behalf. She told the woman she does not run anything, that her rival's own people show up at her events, and that she will always remind her of that. And then she said something that genuinely made me pause the audio. Cardi B said she has something tucked away for all of her enemies, something she does not even feel like doing, but she could. She teased that her next album is going to be a problem for everybody, and closed the whole section by telling every one of her ops to stop playing with her, because it can get real, and this is the important part, in person too. In person too. Y'all, a Grammy-winning, stadium touring, 4-kid mother of millions just got on the internet, and issued what sounds a whole lot like a physical threat to another artist over a comment. Over a comment. And I need somebody to explain to me how we got here, because I genuinely do not understand it. Now here comes the part of the rant where Cardi B contradicted herself so badly that even her own supporters in the chat were scratching their heads. She looked straight into the mic and said she does not even know one Bia song. Not one. She said she has never heard the woman's music, does not know her records, nothing. And then, I kid you not, in the very same breath, in the very same rant, she turned around and said that Bia did not even write her own hit record, and that she has the reference track sitting in her phone right now. Stop. Read that back. She does not know a single one of the woman's songs, but she knows exactly which one was the hit, knows who wrote it, and is holding the reference track in her personal phone like evidence in a trial. Baby, which one is it? You cannot be a stranger to her catalog and the custodian of her reference tracks at the same time. That is like telling the judge you have never been to the restaurant and then describing the menu. And this is exactly the kind of thing I mean when I say the rant exposed more about Cardi B than it ever exposed about her rival. Because a person who genuinely never thinks about you does not have your files saved. A person who genuinely never thinks about you cannot quote your business. She tried to perform indifference while holding a folder of receipts, and the internet noticed immediately. And do you see the pattern forming here? Because I need y'all to see the pattern. Every single time she tried to diminish Bia, she accidentally demonstrated how closely she monitors her. She knows about the calls that were allegedly made. She knows about the producers who were allegedly approached. She knows about the reference tracks, the comments, the diss bars, the timeline of everything that has been said for a year. At this point, the woman basically is the internet, because how else does one person catch every single thing? And this brings us back to that question I told you to keep in your pocket. How does Cardi B, with 4 children at home, with a tour she just finished, with an album on the way, with endorsements and businesses and a whole empire, how does she have the time to see a comment, a single comment, under a post about somebody else, within hours, and then clear her schedule to record a rant about it the same day? Doja Cat answered that question without even trying. Doja Cat told us she does not have that superpower. Doja Cat told us she has a life. Doja Cat told us that carrying drama on top of real responsibilities is not a weight she chooses to pick up. So what does it say that her peer picks it up every single week? And this is where the conversation gets a little uncomfortable, but we are going to go there because it matters. After the rant made its rounds, the discussion stopped being about Bia at all, and it became about what is actually going on with the woman at the center of it. Because think about what we all just witnessed. Cardi B spent a whole day, and I mean a whole day, going back and forth online over a comment. She then recorded a marathon rant revisiting a feud that has been running for a year. And this is not new behavior. She performed a diss aimed at that same woman every single night of her tour, and that moment was one of the biggest viral successes of the entire run. Let me say that again, because it is important. One of the brightest moments of her recent touring era was a record about her rival. So when that rival finally responds with one little comment, and the bigger star cannot stop responding, cannot stop ranting, cannot stop revisiting, you have to ask who is actually feeding who in this feud. There is an argument, and I am just presenting what the streets are saying, that this beef has done more for both of these women's visibility than either of their recent singles. And if that is true, then the rant was not an accident. The rant was content. And that possibility is what we are going to examine next, because once you see the business logic behind the meltdown, you can never unsee it. Now let me be balanced for a second, because I am not here to just pile on. There is a version of this story where Cardi B is genuinely hurt. She told us she was pregnant when the cheating rumor was allegedly spread. She told us people mentioned her children, and any mother will tell you that when the kids get brought up, all bets are off. She told us she found out things in her marriage and made decisions based on what she found, and that she warned people not to play with her while she was vulnerable. If you take her at her word, this is a woman who feels surrounded, who feels like everybody is coming for her name, her pen, her marriage, her motherhood, all at once. And I do have some sympathy for that. Being that famous cannot be easy. Every move she makes gets dissected, every word she says becomes a headline. And there are entire channels, and I am aware of the irony, entire channels dedicated to documenting every misstep. That kind of pressure would break a lot of people. But here is where the sympathy runs out for a lot of the audience. Because she has been given every tool to rise above this. The money, the team, the accolades, the legacy. All Cardi B has to do to win this feud is nothing. Literally nothing. Silence from her would bury the whole thing faster than any rant ever could. And yet she keeps choosing the rant. She keeps choosing the space, the live stream, the paragraph, the back and forth. And at some point, we have to stop asking why the internet keeps poking her and start asking why she keeps answering. And that is exactly why the Doja Cat comparison is so devastating, and why I told you at the top of this video that she is about to become a problem in this story. Because whether anybody realizes it or not, Doja Cat just spent one stream demonstrating the exact behavior that the entire internet now wishes her more famous peer would adopt. She was given the same choice that gets handed out every week. She had a legitimate reason to be annoyed. Her own fans were in her comments telling her an artist had shaded her. And she chose herself. She chose her piece, her playlist, her evening. And the internet watched her do that. And then the internet watched the other woman do the complete opposite for an entire day. And the internet drew the obvious conclusion. The comment sections are already writing the headline. They are saying one woman just gave a masterclass in being unbothered while the other gave a masterclass in being bothered. And if you do not think that comparison stinks, you have not been paying attention. Because the one thing Cardi B cannot stand, the one thing that has motivated half of her rants, is being told that another woman in this game is handling things better than her. So no, I do not think shots are coming at Doja Cat tomorrow. But I am telling you, file this away, because the first time her name comes up sideways in the wrong room, the first time somebody tells the queen of the rant to be more like the queen of the shrug, and trust me, people are already saying it, that is when the temperature changes. I have been watching this pattern for years, and the pattern says this story is not over. Now, while everybody is focused on the drama, let me point out something that almost nobody is talking about, and this is the part that might actually matter the most in the long run. Cardi B said something in that rant that slid under the radar, and I think she said it on purpose. She told us she has something tucked away for all of her enemies, and then she directly referenced her next album, her third album, and said that when it drops, all of these women are going to have a problem. Now strip away the anger and look at that as a marketing mind for 1 second. She has an album coming. She knows that the biggest streaming week of her career is ahead of her. And she also knows, because she has lived it, that controversy moves numbers better than any billboard ever could. So ask yourself the cynical question with me. Is this rant a meltdown, or is this rant a rollout? Because if history is our guide, and it always is, this playbook has never separated the two. Every era of her career has come with a feud attached. The drama keeps the name hot, the name keeps the algorithm fed, and the algorithm feeds the streams. I am not saying she is faking it. The emotion in that rant was real, you could hear it in her voice. But real emotion and real strategy are not enemies. Sometimes the smartest thing an artist can do is feel their feelings in public, and Cardi B has built an empire on exactly that. But there is a cost, y'all, and this is where I want to get serious for a minute, because the cost is starting to show. Every time she goes on one of these runs, the narrative around her shifts a little further away from the music. Go look at the headlines from the last year of her career. How many of them are about a record, a performance, an achievement? Now how many of them are about a rant, a feud, a response to a comment? The ratio is not good, and everybody in her orbit knows it. There is a reason people keep saying she seems unhappy, and it is not just trolling. It is the observable fact that a woman with everything money can buy keeps presenting to the public at her lowest moments. There is no way to convince me that a person who spends all day arguing online is at peace. Happy people are busy being happy. Happy people do not know what was said under a post at 2 in the afternoon. And the tragedy here, the genuine tragedy, is that this is one of the most naturally gifted entertainers of her generation. Her charisma built an empire from nothing. Her story is the American dream with a Bronx accent. That woman does not need to win an argument with Bia. That woman needs to log off, hug those 4 kids, and go finish the album. And I genuinely believe that if Cardi B did exactly that, if she went silent for 6 months and let the music speak, this whole thing would evaporate, because her rival's entire position in this feud depends on her responding. A feud is a 2-person dance, and she is the only one of the 2 who never sits a song out. Let me also be fair to Bia for a moment, because she is not a passive victim in this story, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. She made choices here. She chose to record a diss track with some of the most personal accusations you can level at another woman. She chose, a year later, to respond to a fan's provocation by stamping those accusations as all true. She knew that comment would travel. She has been in this industry long enough to know that a handful of words under a post would get back to the biggest name in the building before the sun went down. So if Bia wanted peace, truly wanted peace, she could have done what Doja Cat did. She could have said, I said what I said in the music, I have moved on, God bless. Instead, she chose to double down in the pettiest possible venue, the comment section, where she gets plausible deniability and maximum chaos at the same time. That is not an accident either. Bia is the smaller artist in this equation, and for the smaller artist, a feud with a superstar is not a liability. It is the best free marketing money cannot buy. Every rant is a commercial for her catalog. Every time the bigger star says she does not know a single one of her songs, 10,000 new people go stream one just to see what the fuss is about. Cardi B thinks she is punishing her rival with attention. She is actually paying her with attention. And until she understands that difference, the underdog wins every single round, even the rounds where she says nothing at all. And Doja Cat? She walked away from this whole thing smelling like roses, and she did it in under 5 minutes. She got to play a song she liked, give a compliment that made her look gracious, receive a public apology that made her look powerful, and deliver a monologue about self-worth that is now being clipped and shared as life advice. She turned a potential beef into a brand moment, and it cost her nothing. Meanwhile, the woman at the top of the food chain spent the same 24 hours recording a rant that is now being dissected by every channel on this platform, mine included. If that does not tell you everything about where the power in this situation actually sits, I do not know what will. And for the record, I do not think Doja Cat did any of it as a calculated shot at anybody. I think she was just being herself, and that is exactly what makes it so lethal. The most devastating comparison is the one nobody meant to make. She did not throw a single stone. She just stood next to her own piece, and the contrast did all the work. So now let me bring this all the way home, because there is one more layer underneath all of this that everybody dances around, but nobody wants to say plainly. A lot of what we watched this week was not really about Bia. It was about a marriage that is over and a heart that has not caught up. When Cardi B spends the emotional center of her rant relitigating who cheated, who lied, who found out what, who warned who, that is not beef energy. That is grief energy wearing beef's clothes. She does not sound like a woman who is over her ex. She sounds like a woman who is still fighting for the version of the story where she was the one who held everything together. And listen, there is no shame in that. Heartbreak does not care about your net worth. But the audience can feel the difference between an artist defending her legacy and a person defending her pain. And this rant was the second one dressed up as the first. And I say that with love, because the sooner somebody in her circle tells her that the internet is not therapy, the sooner we get back to the version of her that the culture actually fell in love with. And here is my honest final read on the whole situation, and then I want yours. Bia played this round almost perfectly. She stayed quiet for months, let the feud cool, accepted the olive branch from Doja Cat with class, and then, the moment a fan handed her the opening, she detonated one comment and let the bigger star do the rest. Bia spent a handful of words. Her opponent spent an entire day. In the attention economy, that is a blowout. Doja Cat played it even better because she did not play at all and walked away with the best press of her year. And Cardi B, the biggest star in the building by a mile, the one with the most to lose and the least to gain, walked away with a new wave of headlines asking whether she is okay. That is the scoreboard. That is what happened while everybody was watching the insults instead of the incentives. The feud is not the story. The feud is the product. And right now, the most famous woman in the room is the only one manufacturing it at a loss. So let me put it to y'all directly, because I genuinely want to know where this room stands, and I read every single comment. Number 1, when Bia said the diss was all true, was that a woman standing on her art, or was that a calculated strike she knew would send her rival into orbit? Number 2, the phone call. If she never wanted to speak to her, why did she pick up? Does that detail matter to y'all, or am I reaching? Number 3, and this is the big one, be honest with me down there, who handled this week better, Doja Cat with 5 minutes of peace, or the superstar with a day of war? And number 4, because I promised you I would come back to it, that question from the beginning of the video, how does a woman with 4 kids, a tour, an album, and an empire see every comment on the internet within hours? Is it a team monitoring her name? Is it an obsession? Or is it something nobody wants to say out loud, that the chaos is not happening to Cardi B, the chaos is the plan? Drop your theory in the comments, because the best answer I have ever gotten on this channel came from one of y'all, and I have a feeling this comment section is about to deliver again. Now remember what I told you at the very top of this video. I said, mark my words, Doja Cat is about to become a problem in this story. And nothing that has happened since has changed my mind, because she did the one thing that cannot be spun, cannot be ranted past, and cannot be out-argued. She was unbothered in public, and the whole internet watched it. And now every single time her peer loses her cool, and there will be a next time, somebody is going to post that clip underneath it. That clip is now permanent. It is the measuring stick. And the first time anybody responds to it, directly or indirectly, and I believe that day is coming, that is the day this whole story goes nuclear for real. So if you want to be here when it happens, you already know what to do. Like this video, hype it up so the algorithm knows the people want the truth. Subscribe if you have not already, and tap the bell, because the next chapter of this saga could drop at any moment. And when it does, we are going to be right here breaking down every second of it before anybody else even wakes up. And one more thing before I let y'all go. If you think this rant was wild, wait until you see what I found buried in the timeline of this feud from last year, because there is a thread connecting all of it, every diss, every comment, every rant. And once you see the pattern, you will understand why none of this is random and why the next explosion is already scheduled, whether the artists know it or not. That video is coming next, and you are not going to want to be late to it. Talk to me in the comments. I will be down there talking back like I always do. Until the next one, protect your peace like the woman on the stream, keep your receipts like the woman in the comments, and whatever you do, do not let the internet talk you out of your joy. I will see y'all soon. Peace.